Well, hey everybody, Barry Kleiman. In the previous video, I really kind of harangued people watching, um, gently, maybe not so gently, prodding, pushing, urging, uh, um, inspiring, maybe shoving, irritatingly, continually to remind you to journal. Again, the upsides of it are they're definitely for you, but the ancillary benefits of it are just more than I can tell you. And again, you can strike up conversations with other people in your constituency, whether it's family members, kids, grandkids, spouses, brothers, sisters, good friends, about a journal entry you made or a journal entry you thought to make, or do they ever make journals in their entry that seem as silly as the one you were thinking making, or whatever it is. So I said this yesterday. If you take nothing else from this entire program, and there's a lot, I really have tried to pack pretty much every single thing, every single component of a transformation process as it relates to the way you approach your life and career into this thing. Um, but if you take nothing else from it and take one of these and use it, how do they go? You'll thank me later. I promise you that. So the idea again is getting familiar with yourself, taking a personal inventory, as Napoleon Hill calls it. And I gave you a bunch of questions and things to write down. I'm not going to repeat them here. They're in the previous video. You could watch them, but they're simple, right? They're simple questions about you that you already know the answers to, but we want you to get them chronicled, right? We want you to get them um, all in front of you, so you have this book, this cheat sheet about you and your life and your likes and your dislikes and all these things, because they will serve you as we move forward, and they'll always serve you as your turn in life comes to tell your story. And there will be many opportunities in this life for you to tell your story, and I would suggest that your ability to tell it or your inability to tell it will be a big difference between how your fifth quarter evolves. And my instinct is your, I don't want to say inability, but your lack of being as good at it as you could may be a root cause of you not being where you want in your life right now. People aren't mind readers. You have to be able to tell them what you know and what you're about and who you are, not just hope that they get it. That's later. This is all groundwork. This is training camp. One of the things I didn't do yesterday is, we've all gone through changes, right? If you took this book and opened it up to a page and wrote down um, on this date, as far as you can remember, whatever the date is, write it down, and then think about a time that you, some event or some person or some circumstance or experience um, changed the course, not necessarily of your life, but certainly induced you to do something different than what you were doing. Why is this important? Because you want to learn from what you do, right? What, for better or for worse. Um, you can say, I told you about the story of my going broke, right? That story induced me to hire a coach. That coach induced me to stand on shoulders of giants. Those shoulders made me humble enough to go out and seek mentors, and on and on. And it was hugely directional changing. I could cite another example of Coach Dale Brown, meeting him and him um, strongly encouraging me to write the book I wrote. Um, these are all highlights of my life, and I like telling the stories about them because they really did change things. And it took me from being um, almost losing my house to an ability to, I don't want to say resurrect my career, but I can't think of a better word right now. Anyway, so if you wrote that down in your journal, you'd be happy and you would have the lesson learned. And if along the way you could from that lesson, you could say if you could have changed anything, it would be this. So now you have what was a lesson learned, and if I had it to do all over again, I would do this. This is part of your story. I told you about, again, mine, just to use the same example, not to talk about me, but it took me 2 years. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have waited 2 freaking years to do what I ultimately did. Pardon me, and find a mentor. So anyway, that's it, right? And so on the screen in front of you, you see some words of some people who were. You may not know Dr. Eger, but she's the coolest person I ever met. She's an amazing woman. Um, Holocaust survivor. Her story is just astounding. Toni Morrison, I imagine you've heard of. We're going to talk a little bit more about her. Walt Disney, you certainly heard of, but they're all saying the same thing, right? We're all unique. And for you to capture this uniqueness for you, by you, what do you want to happen is really the whole overarching premise of this training camp. Again, it's not for me. This is you. This is for you, by you. You wrote down above, I hope, or you will, that on the day you were born, this brand new, one of a kind, never been before, never will be again, uh, life force came into the world, right? And it has its own DNA, dental records, physical features, likes, dislikes, hopes, dreams, unique abilities, and all that. That's you. I have my own. It matters so much that you're familiar with these things, right? It matters so much that you're familiar with these things, and I just want you to chronicle you. Okay, fundamentals matter, little things matter, knowing yourself matters, uh, having a foundation in your life matters, mistakes, wins, lessons learned, and all this stuff. Um, so Tony and Dr. Eger and Walt Disney are all saying the exact same thing. Um, we're going to move to a segment called The White Belt. It's an amazing story. But I just want to make sure that you get this, believe in, and take action on understanding this uniqueness of you. You are your best thing. Think about it. Write it down. Grab a journal. Uh, More of the same is going to give you more of the same. And I think I said this already. If tonight, if I didn't, I said it yesterday or in the previous video. I'd be willing to bet that if you were constant with one of these and consistent in it, and again, this thing is a template. This winning the fifth quarter project program is a template to journal. I can I can't promise anything, but I would bet that the road to where you want to be, you'd be a lot closer to it if you kept current with yourself. So more about it in the before. I'll probably talk more about it in the upcoming videos. But that's it. You are your best thing, but you got to prove it to yourself. Okay. So I hope this helps everybody, and we'll catch you on the next session and talk about the white belt and are you willing to wear? Okay. Thank you.